righty. Okay, here we are, guys. All right. Thanks for being here to tonight's live stream. Hopefully you guys can hear me and see me okay. What am I doing here? Okay, so just taking a look at some things here. And I think I need to change out, not sure. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Mina. Glad that you can hear me and see me. I appreciate it. And you are a long ways away. So fantastic that we can connect even a world apart. That is so cool. Let's see. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Night Owl. Hi, Mina. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Laura. Hi, Steve. We're doing well, thanks. I hope you are as also. Let's see. Hi, CL. Welcome. Lisa, you are distracted because you have a new puppy. Oh boy, you're gonna have lots of fun. Oh, that's great. Okay. Welcome from Quebec. Not sure how to pronounce your name, but welcome from Quebec. That is awesome. Glad to have you here as well. Okay, let's see. So tonight we are going to be doing a wood burning of a kind of a whimsical fantasy type little birdhouse. Hi, Terry. And we're gonna kind of jump around here. You know, the past little while I've been showing you guys line work with, something simple like the shading point, or not with the shading point, the flow point. And so when using the flow point, you can block in line work pretty easily, but it does give definitely a different look. So since this is going to be a little bit more of an advanced class, I'll probably do the whole thing with the shading point just to show you guys how you can do this with maybe a little bit more shading and a little less line work, or the line work will be more soft and subtle, if you can, if that makes sense. Let's see. Hello, Amber. Welcome. Glad you are here tonight. Hi, Kendale. Cool, guys. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is kind of hit this a little bit with a sanding pad just to tone down those guidelines a little bit. So this is a 400 grit, but I've used it a few times so it's not as coarse. But we've done a lot of projects in the past where I kind of maybe oversimplify it, and my apologies, my nose is going crazy tonight. And I may oversimplify, but we'll do the same thing, but take it more like realistic. I don't know why my nose is going crazy. Yeah. All right, so I just turned on the shading point. So I'll probably do this most all with the shading point. And you can get some more delicate lines and really develop your shading a little bit more. So I think that's what we're going to try tonight, if I can focus. Steve, the birthday party went well. Thank you. We had a very good time. And I am so sorry. I don't even know why I'm sneezy, because it has rained all day. No, we had a great time. Thanks for your patience as far as not being able to be here last Friday. just had a little girl's birthday to put on, and we had a great time, so thank you for asking. Alrighty, so let's see if the shading point is warmed up enough yet. As I run out of Kleenex. Let's see here. There is another one. Burley. Hi, Burley. Where's Burley? I think I missed one. Connie. Welcome. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and start up here at the top. I suppose I ought to zoom in. And I'll show you kind of my process if I was going to make this project for me, how I would go about it with the shading point. Alrighty. I'm probably going to have to fold this a little bit so you guys can get a closer view here. Yeah, we'll go with that. But we'll start up here at the top. But whenever I do more intricate work, I use the shading point. I don't know what it is tonight, Lisa. I just think I don't know. I got something going on. I don't think it's like mud, but it's like if you have a bee fly up your nose and it's really tickly, that's kind of where I'm at. So sorry. Hi, Tracy. So using the upper part of the shading point, I'm going to start with just a little bit of this faint line work here. And honestly, I was just fine. My nose was fine until the live stream started, so I don't know what it is. Maybe if I quit thinking about it, it'll quit. And then anytime that we have an under kind of area here, like an overhang, that works really good. I am so sorry. But I want to keep it a little bit lighter here so we're not going to kind of overwhelm it with line work. And then we have a little bit of shadows underneath here. Keep it in mind we have a little bit of a light source coming from this side, so this area here is going to be a touch darker. Oh, that's wonderful to hear, Mina. Glad that your mom's doing better. We've been sending prayers your way. So you can do this same line work with the flow point. It's just going to be a little bit more chunky. I don't really want chunky lines in this project, just personal preference, but you can do whatever that you want with that. Hi, Barbara. All right, and then I can add just a touch of shading along the outer edge here. Also, there might be a little bit of lag tonight because of the rain. We are in the trail of like Hurricane Priscilla or something like that, and don't know. We have a lot of rain, so if we're kind of lagging, that's probably why. Okay, so we have a little bit of shading on the left side of that upper cap, and then I'm just going to do a little bit of a gradient. So we're going to take the darkness from the left and pull it towards the right, or the outside to the center. for a touch of shading. And we can also kind of exaggerate those shadows there a little bit as well. And we can do a little shadow under each one. Oh, let's see. Okay. And then on this side, there's not going to be a whole lot. I might just add a brief touch of shading so it's not bare. Kind of like that. All right, next we have this little top part here. Now this is a very whimsical kind of birdhouse, so you don't have to have your lines exactly perfect. But anytime that we have an area that is kind of overhung, you'll have much darker lines underneath there. We'll get our little H's in here. They look like the letter H. Okay. And so the upper part here, we have kind of a little bit of a gradient just pulling downward. There's Miss Sophie getting her noisy drink. Okay, we can even add in a little bit of the woodwork with just some vertical lines to make it look a little bit more like it has wooden architecture here. She is a thirsty dog. And then we can do the same thing over here, just really pulling that gradient downward. And this whole panel is going to be a bit darker. Now if we want to do something later like add a light coming from one of these windows, we'll want to make sure that that kind of stays unburned. But for now I'm going to go ahead and kind of block in this window and make it look a little bit darker. And then let's accentuate the shadow underneath the eaves a little and then pull that back down. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, that project is definitely coming along. I don't think I've ever burned that much in such a short period of time, so I was definitely feeling some stress on the hand, but I was able to take the last couple days off and rest my hand and get some stuff done outside, so we're good to go tonight. Barbara, yes, I am using the Versatool and the shading point for that commission. All right, and then again, we need a little bit more shadow under here. Yeah, usually it takes me about 6 months or so to get an 18 by 24 inch piece done with everything else that we have in life, and I'm going to have to get it done in less than a month. So definitely have to kind of push through on that one. Pull that shading down. That's looking good. We get a little bit of kind of shadowy overcast here. And those darks, that's where you're going to really make your piece come alive, is pushing those darks dark enough. If we don't do that, it's going to look a little bit flat. Okay, and I might, hi Larry, I might just go ahead and play up the shadows on the back side of this roof here as well, because I really like to push those values darker. Oh, you had to go and do that, didn't you? All right, brief intermission, guys. Come on. Come back. There we go. Alrighty. Sorry about that. I have to move over a bit. Okay. Now it shouldn't do that. Lisa says, when I watch you burn with the shading tip on the Versatool weekly, but when you post a pic we haven't seen. Oh, it always amazes you. Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, and I guess that's why I decided to treat this project like I would a commission or a personal project instead of more of a teaching lesson. Because I'll try to show you guys how I burn when I'm not teaching. If I just want to kind of do my own thing and not have to break it down or explain as much. I mean, I'm still explaining, but I hope that makes sense. I'll just kind of burn from the top down here, and we'll go from there. So it looks like we have some gnarled little tree trunk. I'm going to make this into a little tree trunk here. And kind of push these shadows back. It looks like we have almost tree roots coming up here. And I can guarantee you guys would not have really enjoyed me watching me create that huge commission. The amount of time that I have spent on solar panels, like hours and hours on those solar panels, it's about to drive me crazy. But it took me an hour just to transfer on the grids of the solar panels on this big commission that I'm working on. All right, I'm going to darken up some of the structure in here. Let's see. Oh gosh. I don't know, Lisa. I mean, I actually have to cover parts of the solar panels because like my eyes were jumping from grid to grid, because you have to burn the like each square, but they're not squares because they're a tippy. So it's been really crazy. Probably one of the most difficult things I think I've had to wood burn is a set of solar panels. You would think it would be pretty easy, but no. Kendale, yeah, that piece has been posted in the Mighty Networks platform. It's a commission, and so I'm not sharing that one on social media at this time. But I gave a little sneak peek over on Mighty Networks. All right, and so we have some really fantastical, whimsical branches, and it looks like leaves coming off here. Like it's a blustery day. You guys would still love to watch. Oh, you're fun. I'm about done with the panels, except for I'm gonna leave a few for the live demo. Ah, Barbara, yeah, your jaguar. Your eyes were jumping back and forth. Yeah, it's weird when I get like near a repetitive pattern. My eyes kind of don't like that and they freak out, but thanks, Mina, for that link. Yep. It'll be towards the end of October, like the last week in October, before I can share that finished piece. I have to finish it live at an event, so I'll have to get pictures of it and then leave, which is going to be really tough because, you know, a lot of times I like to take a look at a project and then kind of work it and rework it, and to finish it in 3 hours and then turn it over is, I'm going to have separation anxiety, I think, on that one. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, the power poles were a big struggle. So it's a big, it's a piece with a big mountain range and clouds, and then it's got solar panels and power lines and wind turbines and a pipeline, all kind of set together in a little bit of a scenic place. So I think it's technically one of the more challenging pieces I think I've ever done. But we're just putting in some light line work here. Whoa, excuse me. Holy cow, guys. I don't know if I'm coming down with a cold. I certainly hope not. But I am very sorry. I'm not usually this sneezy. So a lot of times with my own personal artwork, I will kind of just sketch in areas like that with a little bit of a light touch. And I'm going to run out of Kleenex. Oh, that's okay, Mina. You are just awesome. Thank you. Thanks, guys. But this is, this is generally how I like to approach a project, with definitely a light sketch to start, and then kind of go back in and work on some more of the details. On that big commission piece that I was talking about, I'm having to do quite a bit of freehand work, which I don't normally do, but a lot of the foreground is kind of vague bushes and grasses, and so I'm definitely having to kind of go off script and do some freehand burning, which is a challenge in itself. So if you do like to do freehand wood burning, I definitely hope that, or I encourage you to start out with a light sketch like this, and then you can kind of modify it and just go darker and darker as you are getting more comfortable with kind of your layout. So that's something that I've found to be really helpful when even burning an unknown area. You're not sure quite what to do. Just start off lighter. Some of the biggest mistakes that I made on that big commission is that I tried to rush. I was a little bit afraid when I first started, thinking that I really need to hurry and expedite, and I went too dark too fast in certain areas. And the amount of time that it has taken me to fix those areas or try to blend in those really dark ones, it cost me more time than it saved, for sure. Hi, Desiree. You're doing great. I'm a little bit kind of behind the game here with a very annoying nose, but we're just going to keep on going here because that's why we're here. Thanks, Mina. Yeah, I'm really liking that big piece too. It's been quite the push for me as an artist, so I guess. I hope it's not a cold either, Vivian. My nose will just get done when it's done, I guess. So I have been taking quite a few work in progress photos with that big commission. So when it's done, I'll get those posted on Mighty Networks as well. Such a cute little bird. Okay. So I'm going to start putting in a little bit of the light line work for the roof. And we're just going to do some layered overlapping lines here. Ah, Barbara, thanks. Yep, definitely hit like and subscribe. Tracy, you did a piece for a wedding and had to draw all the lines and leaves by freehand. Ooh, that's always a challenge. Yep. That's awesome, though. So the person that made these roof tiles kind of used whatever they had available. So we're gonna just go with the whimsical nature here. Get these to overlap. It looks like I kind of forgot to transfer on a few of the areas in the middle, but we'll just keep on going here. Some vertical lines in there that I forgot to transfer on. I'm back. Sorry about that. So we have so much moisture in the air right now. We have a huge cell that has been dropping. I think we've got an inch of rain already today, which is a lot. That's like about a foot of snow's worth in the wintertime. So we have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. I do apologize for the lag. And yeah, I'm just working on roof right now. wow, Tracy, that sounds like a really cool project. A Mr. and Mrs. sign in the Lord of the Ring fonts and then added vines and leaves. Cool. That sounds really neat. Okay, so let's see. Let's come back up here. We're going to start kind of finishing up some of our initial lines. Shading the back side of the bird and the beak, and then give it just a little bit of rounded belly there. This little one is swooping down from the sky. That's fun. We can start building some branch structure here. Oh, sorry, I was kind of cutting out there, guys, as far as the snow. No, we've received an inch of rain so far today, and if that was snow, generally there's about an inch of water in a foot of snow. So with the moisture that we got today in rain, if it was colder, we could have had probably a foot of snow, but it's still raining. We are supposed to get snow on Sunday. I'm going to add a little shadow on the underside of each branch, just to give it a nice little dimension there. Night Owl, we're good as far as hail damage while on the roof. No, it's just been a light, steady rain, very consistent and mild. A little bit frustrating because my husband is trying to put up gutters, so, but he's doing a great job with that. All right, so some of these very interesting whimsical designs here, we're just going to put some shadows along the left-hand side. Here we have kind of a leaf. Little leaves blowing away in the wind. Those are fun. Let's see. Larry says, since we can't buy graphite paper anymore from Walnut Hollow, do you know of another brand somewhere? That's a really good question. I don't know. I know that I stockpiled some from Walnut Hollow a couple of years ago, so I haven't had a need to get more. But yeah, take a look at Amazon. That's a great idea. You might also make sure that you look at the reviews on those, because some are definitely better than others. I've gotten some in the past that were really difficult. Like, as hard as you compress, they wouldn't hardly make a line. So yeah, with these little plates of the roof, we're just going to put some shadows underneath and then pull some shading across the top because they are kind of on the shadow side of the building. Awesome, Lisa. You were able to save your picture. That is great. Very good. I have not been in the house the last couple days, and so I missed that. But I did see that you mentioned about the clear spray. That's awesome. Yep, such a great group. Thank you to everybody that posts help and tips and solutions, and it's just fantastic. All right, so next I'm going to pull a little bit of a gradient downward on each of these tidbits. I'm going to make a really crooked line up through here because we're doing whimsical tonight. All right. I think all of our kitties are nice and dry, so that's good. Okay. We're also going to get a nice dark shadow under here. Okay, so let's take a look at these little panels on the roof. Oh, that's something there. So if you think about roofing panels kind of like overlapping feathers, we can go ahead and add a touch of shading on the underside of each loop. Yeah, Larry, some of the graphite paper is really good and sensitive, like you don't have to press down very hard to make a mark, and others that's like almost a waste because it's not transferring anything. You're more likely to dent the wood pressing down too hard than you would be actually getting something to transfer over. All right, so I have a little touch of shading underneath each of those. We might pull it down just a smidgen, the shading. I don't see a lot of that on the reference photo, but it's something that I'm going to add in to give it some more depth. But I don't want to shade too much on this side of the roof because it is the lighter side. A little bit. We don't have a very strong light source, but definitely a little influence here. Alrighty. So that gives it just a little bit more fun, almost like the roofing panels are kind of lifting off, or just a little bit more three-dimensional. Now on the other side of the roof, I'm going to kind of utilize the play of light a little bit more, and I'm going to add a bit more of a darker shadow underneath each one. Tracy is asking, is this how I always start commission pieces? Do I start at the top and work my way down? I guess it depends on the piece. If there's areas that I don't know. I would say it has to depend on the piece. I do like a sense of order. So for this one, yes, I'm definitely just starting at the top and going all the way down. On other ones, like really big pieces, I'll tell myself, okay, like I'm not sure how to approach some of these areas, so I'll start with the area that I know that I can do, and I'll dive into that, and it gives me like a little bit more confidence to kind of tackle the next area. And when I'm sitting for long periods of time, because I've been working 4 hours, Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry. I'm not sure how much of that was lost, but yeah. When I sit for long periods of time, I try to tell myself that excuse me. When sitting for long periods of time, I try to tell myself, okay, I'm just going to work on this section for the next hour. And it kind of forces me to stay focused, because otherwise it's easy to kind of bounce around and burn some of the easiest parts of the project and not get a whole lot done. So I force myself to kind of sit down and we're just going to focus on this and spend an hour on it, good, bad, or ugly, and we'll just make it work. And not allowing myself to kind of sneak around to the easiest parts, it helps me to stay focused. Thank you, Tracy. Yeah. I am very sneezy today, and I have no idea. Just tonight. Well, a little bit this morning, but I normally don't have that issue. All right, so this side is a little bit darker. We have our darker shadows. And next, I'm going to start pulling this darker area down. But for like a little project like this, starting from the top down seems fun, and it's easy, and it gives me a sense of direction. But no, not always. I kind of jump around from piece to piece. I also, like on big commissions, I worry that I might not be able to get an area, like it's not going to work and I'm going to have problems with it. So I kind of work a little bit to see if I can make it work and jump around. So. But yeah, we're definitely going to try to accentuate a little bit more of a light source in this picture than what's on the reference photo. So this side of the building is going to be in shadow. And that's the cool thing about what you do as an artist, is you can kind of play around with that and decide areas that you want darker or lighter and just have fun with it. Okay, let's see. Trying to think about where I want to go next, and I think I'm going to move the camera. So let's work on this little section here. It's really raining again. Okay. Start in with a little bit of a light sketch. This is a very fun window. It reminds me like of a gem or a jewel. All right, sorry. Sometimes you get so focused on the line work that you forget to talk. I certainly do. Okay. And let's see, we have kind of like a little jewel inset in here. It reminds me of a very ornate bay window. Or maybe the little birdies just took a gemstone and put it in here for their window. Cynthia. Ah, Larry, since you're left-handed, you usually work from right to left. That makes perfect sense. Yep, definitely. Okay, we're going to bring this down to here. And I'm going to make some little bushes here. So I'm doing kind of a dot slide technique here for some of the bushes. And as they come around the corner, we'll try to make them a little lighter. Oh yeah, you guys can still see. Okay. We also have some like clumps of bushes. We'll accentuate the shadows first and kind of sneak into the foliage, like the little crevices and all that. Barbara, you usually work from the top down, but also turn your wood as needed. Awesome. Yeah, that's really good. Mina, you turn your wood a lot too. Yeah, Larry. Yeah. The big commission that I've been working on, I've had to do a lot of turning as well. Because with like each solar panel square, I can only work on it from one side, so definitely kind of crazy. All right, so that's a quick sketch on the foliage. We have a root here. That's kind of fun. Darker on the bottom. Goes across the top. Larry, the window does look like a time capsule. I think that's awesome. So next I'm going to start putting in some of the shadows. As we go around here. And we can also start putting in some of our vertical boards. And they are not evenly spaced, and that is just fine. Everybody, yeah, definitely turn the wood. Cynthia, you turn the wood when you're tracing too. That's cool. Yeah, I generally just turn the wood when I'm burning because of the, you know, the different, the way the heat works underneath the point. Lisa says, I start in the middle of the focal point and work out. That is very true. Yes, I do that as well with like a portrait or an animal. I will start with the eyes and work on that first. Great. Ah, Vivian, yeah. So you're turning the wood often, but with a 3-foot long piece, it's difficult. Yeah. I've been there, done that, and it is quite the challenge. You can't hardly reach the other end of the piece of wood, which makes it very difficult. Let's see, we also have branches here and leaves. I have a little leaf falling. have some little sticky branch, like dried bushes over here. So that's kind of like the wiggle worm technique, where you're dragging that point around like a little crazy worm, which is a lot of fun for foliage texture. And then you can go back and wiggle around some more and make some shadows with texture. So that's kind of fun. All right, on our branch here, let's add more depth by making it look three-dimensional. Just put a little line underneath the main line, and then it looks like it has more shape to it. Let's see, Kendale. I'm the Bob Ross of wood burning. Aw, thank you, that's very sweet. Bob Ross is a good guy. Next, we are going to add a little touch of shading on the underside of each branch as well, just to make it look a little more 3D. Barbara says that you're reading that they're selling some of Bob Ross's originals for fundraising. That's really cool. Mina, you love the wiggle worm technique. I do too. I think it's a lot of fun and allows you to just have fun. Very free and flowing motion. Is Chipper in, my dear?
I'm sure he is.
Well, I'm sure he is too, but I just want to double check that everybody's in. He could be either in his basket or on the wall, okay, or in the cat tree.
The potato cat is guarding the door.
Oh, okay. Well, I think she saw a moth over there.
I don't see him, but I'll look.
Alrighty.
More.
Yeah, I can't tell if he's up there. I just want to make sure everybody's in.
I'm gonna lay money on that, but I'll check.
Well, me too. Thank you. All right, let's burn inside this really dark area. And then if you can find some more Kleenex, that'd be great.
Oh, I can do that.
I have been tormented tonight. So we're really going to push this area back. Desiree, your mom used to watch Bob Ross every week. Aw, cool. Barbara, yes, that's the potato cat. Or Kartoffeln von Bet. No, Kartoffeln von Katze. Anyway, potato of the cat. She's our little Bobby cat, and she's shaped like a potato. Oh boy, Tracy, you had to do that when you had a sign for a kennel and the chains attached. Oh wow. That's amazing. Okay. Thanks, Kendale. Yeah, Bob Ross, made some just fantastic painting tutorials. Very great. Oh, bless you. Thank you. Oh, got a new one even. Thank you. I'm down to my last tissue over here. I've been a wreck. An absolute wreck tonight. Okay. We will just keep on trucking here. So I'm trying to make this look a little bit kind of recessed. Nice dark shadows. Let's make some deeper wood grooves. Because those darks like to push back. And so in this case, it's going to look like the boards are, like the cracks are deeper. There's a Bob Ross channel on YouTube. That's awesome. See, Will's asleep?
He ordered pizza and then went back to sleep.
Okay.
Cash is going to pick up pizza.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so now that I kind of have some of my base work in here, I want to go back and really start to push these darks because I want a very dramatic little birdhouse here. So I'm going to push these darks a bit more. Take that up into there, and we can block in this whole little section here. I don't know who said it, but I know that some artist was mentioning that you can't have light without dark and you can't have dark without light. And that kind of goes pretty hand in hand with any art medium. And so the darker, I think about that to myself, the darker that I push my darks, it allows me so much more room for the lights, which is, they just complement each other so well. Let's see. Larry says, I see I posted that the Energy Piece project is due in 20 days. I wonder, did they give you enough time to do such a huge project? They actually wanted something much bigger. They wanted a 4x4 foot piece of wood for the project. And I told them I cannot get a piece that big. I called around, I tried. And I'm thanking God that I didn't find a piece that big because I would not have been able to get it done in time. But they didn't really know that it's a slow medium, so I'm just feeling very honored that I get to be a part of this project. Okay, so we're putting in some shadows there. We have the nice dark areas for our wood. And next, we're going to burn our gradient and start pulling that downward. This is the fun part, I think. This is where everything really starts to come together, is in the mid-tone stage. Because the darks, it seems like it takes forever to get them established. And then once you get those in place, the mid-tones are where stuff really comes alive. Okay, so that's kind of just some base mid-tones, and then we're going to go ahead and start bringing down a little bit more. Because if all you do is just base mid-tone, like I just did, it looks pretty flat. So I always like to go back over and just bring down some more of the darker tones here. Because like we said, we can't have light without dark, and you can't have light without dark. So by keeping a little bit of the lighter areas that peek through, I think really gives the project more life. If everything is shaded the same, you really lose a lot of that depth and life to it. But by having a little light and a little bit dark, well, it's like salt and pepper. It just goes together really, really nice. Now we have a much more realistic looking side of the barn. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Barbara. Yeah, Lisa, absolutely. And this is, if that's a way for you to think about lights and darks, is like salt and pepper. You need both of it sprinkled in there to really give it the flavor that we're after here. I'm going to pull down some shading underneath here. And then quite a bit under this side. But we want those lighter areas to kind of peek through there. Peas and carrots, yep, absolutely. Salt and pepper, peas and carrots. Need to have that nice variety of light and dark. And that's one of the biggest things that I found in projects that I've done that seem flat. It's when I have too much of the mid-range shading, you know, too much mid values. And I overshaded and I didn't get enough lights, didn't keep enough lights, or I didn't shade enough when I don't have enough darks. So really push to get your lights and your darks. And I can already see in this project here that I need to push a little bit more on both of those accounts. But we'll just keep going here. And a lot of times with all kinds of projects that I do, I block it in like this, and then I'll go back and I'll do a value adjustment towards the end. And that makes a huge difference, I think, in the final product. Because as you burn a section, it's like, okay, this looks pretty good. And then you do section by section, and then at the very end, when you look at it as a whole, it's easy to tell areas where, you know, I think this needs to be pushed darker, this needs to be pulled forward, and kind of adjust it that way. Let's see. Kendale, you bought some cherry wood sheets from Amazon. Oh, cool. You're going to do some steampunk pieces. Cool. That'll be fun. Aw, thanks, Mina. Yeah, I'm really hoping to get people to see that there's a lot more to wood burning than, you know, most people have had. If they have had an experience with wood burning, it's like summer camp and you make a birdhouse and you burn your name into it. Hello.
Hi, Cash is over at City Market, waiting for like 1 or 2 items. Anything we need?
I don't know. Maybe some of those little grapefruit things.
Okay.
The little grapefruit things is all I can think of. Yeah. But yeah, most people don't realize what wood burning can be. So I'm excited for the opportunity to get in front of some people that may have never seen wood burnings at all, let alone, you know, ones that look more realistic. So we're going to try to get the word out. Okay, so that's all pretty good there. I know I need to adjust values, but we're going to keep moving. And because we're working from the top down, we're going to come over here. Oh, that's looking cute. I couldn't quite see the whole thing. All right. I need more tape. And we'll work on this other side. Now, when I'm burning this side, I need to remember to myself that this whole area needs to be just a little bit lighter than this side. But that's something that we can do a little bit of adjustment later on as well. But for the most part, the lighter side towards the light needs to be shaded less, which is kind of a simplest term of thinking about that. Okay, let's go up here and say hi to the bird. Once again, just kind of a nice light sketch to get the form established Do a little crescent shape for the eye. And we want to round out the belly just a little bit here. There we go. So that's a very simplistic little bird. They could probably use a little touching up later, but for right now, it's fine. All right, so let's continue with our sketching here. Oh, as far as upcoming schedule, since October is just so booked right now, and I totally spaced out the beginner live stream on Monday, that since we're already a good part of the way into October and I am booked and Miss Mina is not as available as she usually is either, we've decided to push the beginner live stream back until November, and then we'll try to get into beginner live streams in November in addition to the Friday night live streams. So we'll try to make up October in November, but right now everything is just so busy that I think that it would be best for both myself and Mina for us to do the beginner live stream next month. So that is the plan. And we'll continue with the Friday night live streams through the month of October and carry on. So just a little bit of a schedule change there to give us a bit of a breather. So absolutely, Mina, it was a great idea. And I thank you for that as well, for that, that suggestion, because that definitely takes a load off of my plate, and I know it does yours as well. So we will not let you guys get away with fewer projects. We'll just push them back and double up in November. So we don't forget our beginners as well. And I really appreciate everybody's, support and all that. I just really felt so bad that I completely spaced the Monday night live stream. I honestly thought that I had another week, but I had been burning nonstop for all that time, and I just kind of got lost on the time frame. Okay, let's see what we have here. We have some windowsill. Awesome. Thank you very, very much. Yep, we're just a little bit double booked right now. All right, let's burn some shadows in the windows. We do have an amazing community, Mina. Very much appreciated. Hola, Omar. Welcome. Now this is where it would be helpful to work on this from both sides by turning the wood just to get more of a crisp edge. Since I'm right-handed, the the right hand side of my lines tend to be a little bit more fuzzy. Hi, Amy. Oh, good. Yeah, you were busy Monday too. Yeah, I think a lot of us forgot, but we didn't have a live stream the following or the previous Friday, so there wasn't that reminder going out. All right, wiggle worm in here for the bushes, plus an extra wiggle worm down in the shadows. Okay, let's see, we have some board structure here. Oh, why are you not behaving? Yes, thanks, Larry. This is cute, and the wood is kind of bowed outward. I don't think birds make very good birdhouses, honestly. I don't think they would pass code. Okay. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Mina. Yeah, we're cooking right along here tonight, aren't we? And just like I would do most any project, I start like this with the rough sketch, start putting in my kind of base values, and then I'll go back and kind of tweak and adjust those values as I think it needs to be. Barbara, you're right. They can't build houses worth a darn, but they sure make good nests. Which is good, good, good. Hi, Christy. So we're going to put in some shadows here. A little nice jaggedy roof. And I am getting a little carbon build up there, but we're just going to keep on going here. That carbon definitely takes the heat out a little bit. Okay, so on this one we're going to, let's see, actually before I do the shading on the wood slats, let's put in some shadows here around this windowsill. Kind of make it look more three-dimensional and raise it up a bit. Okay. Next we can add just a real nice light shading coming from the top down. I don't want to shade the entire panel like I did on the other side, because that will take away some of those brilliant highlights that I really want to keep. So I might just do a spattering of shading here and there, but I really want to keep some of those brightest unburned areas of wood. Let's see, Barbara said you thought this year you would do a sketch a day for Inktober. Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah, I usually hear about that, and it's like right about now, mid-October. Well, you know, Barbara, maybe you should start a new thing and do a sketch a day in November. I don't know what you'd call it, but I think it'd be good practice at the very least. Alrighty. Burntober. Hey, I love that, Barbara. Maybe next year, a burn a week and call it Burntober. That would be great. I love that. All right, next we're going to develop our shadows here. And even though that this is on the lighter side of the building, we still have a nice overhang. So we'll just start pulling these shadows down a bit. And sometimes when you start doing the shading, you lose some of those areas of darkness. So we're gonna just touch those up a little bit here. And I still think this needs a little bit more darkness coming down. And then we have some shadows on the back side of the window and underneath the window. And I forgot to run those up in there. All right, next let's do some squiggle worm bushes. Great for those whimsical little twigs. Plus another layer just for some shadows. Those are fun and very random. Okay. Oh, I have a little bird, another bird on a branch. Little birdie here. With feet. And an underbelly. Maybe a little eye. And a beak. Those are really tiny. Alrighty. So let's take a look at what we have so far. Okay, so let's see, it's 6:20. We have a really good start on our little birdhouse. I think that before we move on, let's go ahead and spend a little bit of time kind of tweaking the values like we've talked about. So in this case, I don't know if you really need to see the reference photo, but a lot of times I kind of go rogue from the reference photo at this point anyway, and just kind of make up my own rules of light and shadow. So this next stage here is one of my absolute favorites because I get a chance to really do that push and pull of values, which I think it just makes everything pop. So I'm gonna back out of the zoom just a little bit to give you more of a bird's eye view. No pun intended. All Okay, so I can come back up to the top here. And I just want to kind of hit these shadows a little bit more. And sometimes you might think that, or sometimes I think when on camera, is that it's, oh gosh, maybe a little bit like nitpicking or, you know, just little tiny adjustments. But I really believe that this is the key to getting the dynamic and the pop and the like the wow factor of artwork, is just taking the time to go back and hit these dark areas a little bit more, push those darks, give it just a little bit more here. And that's something that I've challenged myself for years, is go back, push them darker, go, go, go. And I really love how bold it turns out, because I've spent a lot of time, a lot of hours over the years just being maybe a little bit cautious and burning too light. So anymore, I like to be a little bit faster and a little bit more brave on some things. Other things I still have to go slower. So it depends on the subject for sure. Larry, yep, that's what we're doing. We're going to go rogue. Let's see, and I want more defining edge here. So I'm going to darken that up a bit. Put those in shadow. And this next stage here, where we just kind of tweak the values a little bit, it doesn't take very long as either. If you have a lot of dark areas to really build up, it certainly can, but thanks, guys. Vivian, yeah, we're working pretty fast here. This is like an 8x10 piece of wood, so it's not too big, and that helps a lot. And then just, I love the darker midtones. I think that's probably midtones, and darker midtones are my just favorite. I love them. Oh, that's better. I like that better. And then we'll tone that down as well. Okay, so now we have a much more three-dimensional looking structure there, just by adjusting some of the values. And yay, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. All right, let's really kind of make some of these ridges darker up in here. And then they can fade down. So even on these board lines, it's just a gradient is all we're doing. We're going darker at the top in the shadows, and then we come down and it gets a little bit lighter. Larry, you're still struggling with burning too light. Yeah. There's definitely a fine line between the two. Like I said, I really messed up some areas of that big commission that I'm working on because I jumped in too fast in areas that I should have taken a little bit more time on. So there's definitely a time for being more bold and a time for being cautious. Like a personal project, I would say even take something and use it as a challenge and think, all I'm going to do with this project is learn how to go darker faster. And then that way you don't really have maybe a lot of pressure. But if you're doing a project for somebody else, it's a commission or anything like that, it's probably a good idea to err on the side of caution and start off lighter and then go darker. But just for fun, it would be a neat challenge to pick a project and just go super dark off the bat. And you may hate it, you may love it, and you might probably learn something along the way, which is the point of trying new things. So could be fun. Let's see. Vivian is asking if I have an artist or artists that feel have influenced me, be it with topics or techniques. Well, I'd have to think. Other than my dad, my dad was the first and biggest art influence in my life. And so just watching him create his art, I have to say that he is still my favorite artist. And but as far as, okay, I do have another one. Michael Wellen is probably, other than my dad, the biggest art influence, I would say, in my life. And he's a sci-fi artist, and some of my early art in high school was very based around that. And to this day, he, I think, is still one of my favorite artists, is Michael Wellen. All right, so there we have a little bit darker value there. But as far as other ones, I'm not sure. But as far as inspiration, I would say my dad and then Michael Wellen. Lisa, you did a project where you just dove in and went for darks. Cool. I'm trying to decide where to go. So I'm going to push these a little bit darker too. And then we can jump over here to this side of the birdhouse. Let's push these darks a little more. But I don't want to lose out on that full gradient, so I'm going to pull that down a little bit too. Thanks, Vivian. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to, to grow up in a painting household and to have that experience. Okay, and so sometimes I step back and I think, okay, should I really have areas this light on the dark side of the building? Maybe. We can have that as a little bit of reflected light. Otherwise, I can push some of these areas a bit darker. So that's another thing that I really try to watch out for, is having areas that are too light, like pure unburned wood on the dark side of a building. So I can tone this down just a bit. We can fill in these branches here. I try to reserve the the unburned wood for the brightest highlights in my project. So this little gemmy jewel thing here in the middle, that could stay pretty light and pure. But most everything else on the back side of here should have a touch of shading of some sort. And so let's go ahead and push these a little bit more, make this look more recessed. And just a touch more shading on this guy here. Lisa, your artists that have been inspirational are Bob Ross and Ansel Adams. Oh, and me. Thank you. Larry, you like Ansel Adams? Cool. And that's a great question. So go ahead, everybody, put in your answer to Vivian's question. Which artist or artists have you been influenced mostly by in your life? Because, yeah, there's a lot of great ones out there. You guys might have some that I've not heard of. So I'm going to do a little bit more of a push on some of the darks here. You can even fill in some of these branches if you want, especially that might be in the shadow of the house. That would be good. And next, let's pull some of the darks a little bit more in the wood. Yeah, Ansel Adams, he had amazing artwork as well. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I think I still want a touch more in there just to kind of tone that down. Okay. And then we can add just a little hint more of shading in some select areas here on the roof in the light. Places where it might look a little bit kind of bunched up. And some sporadic darks in some light areas will help it to be more random and make it look maybe a little bit more realistic. And the same thing here, we can think about which areas might really be quite dark. In the nooks and crannies here. But in a nutshell, this is kind of how my brain works when doing a project. You know, light sketch, put in your base values and textures, do some adjustments, and you're pretty good. Cynthia says Jerry Yarnell oil painting. Oh, cool. We'll have to look these people up. Barbara says Robert Bateman, John Siri Lester, Mike Silby, Jan Martin McQuire, John Banovich, to name a few. Cool. Barbara, you also like Ansel Adams. Cool. Bye, Cynthia. Hope you have a great night. Thanks for being here tonight. Look forward to seeing you again. Okay, so I'm going to just put a little bit more dark shading on some of these shingles. Okay, and then I think we need, it's kind of cool up here, we'll go darker there, and then quite a bit darker under here with some more board work. Okay. Still want some more shadows under here. Aw, thanks, Mina. Thanks, Barbara. Let's see. Hi, Donald. Judy Gale Roberts is an Intarsia, I hope I'm saying that right, artist. Those are cool. You also learned a lot watching on Friday nights and challenge yourself to improve your shading. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Barbara. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that the live streams are helpful. That's fantastic. Okay, we're going to push this little under area here a bit darker as well. And we're getting pretty, oh, a little bit more around that windowsill, I think. But we're getting pretty good as far as our touch-ups on this one. That section there probably needs a little bit more, but the carbon is kind of building up, so we'll just keep going here. Okay, and I'm just trying to think about anything else. A little bit of vertical strokes in here, and then I want a more defined edge to the building. So I'll kind of bring that across there a little bit more. I think I like that better. Okay, cool. Alrighty, so we have a really good start on the birdhouse. We went ahead, we did our base sketch, we put in our values, and then we kind of tweaked it a little bit. So let's move forward onto the bottom part. And we'll do a little bit of work here. And see what's next. We can probably put in the platform for the house. Okay. We have little birds perched on the wings and birds. We have birds perched and birds on the wing. Yes, absolutely, Larry. Alrighty. Okay, so we're going to come underneath here. I kind of like the idea of wrapping some of these branches up and around here. So before I burn over that area, I'm going to put a branch in there. In fact, I like that idea here as well. So I'm just kind of ad-libbing and throwing in some branches that are holding on to the base. Awesome, Lisa. That's wonderful to hear. Very, very cool. We have had a lot of fun over the past couple years with the live streams. We've made quite a few projects. I don't even know how many projects we've made yet at this point. This is 150. 152 live streams, plus the beginner live streams too. So we're pushing 200. I know we haven't done 200 projects, but we've done a lot of projects. Thanks, Vivian. Yes, 152. Thanks, Mina. 152 live streams. Okay. All right, and then we have a lot of kind of horizontal wood grain in here. I like this is kind of a little, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to make it into like a little metal strap because I think that's kind of cool. And we can put one under the bushes here. Little metal strap. And maybe one over here. Just for a little fun. So 152 live streams and 17 beginners. Wow. Excuse me. That is quite a few. Let's see. Good night, Larry. Have a great night. Thanks for being here. Vivian, you say you like Nestor Canavero and your lithography teacher, Susanna Herrero. Cool. Steve is asking if I'm going to have a pin for the 20th live stream. I have got to do something for sure. I don't know yet. I need to do something to celebrate the 200th, not 20th, 200th live stream. I might have to do a pin and then, I don't know, something in addition. Okay, I want a little more shadow under here. Bernie Bear has room on his suspenders for another pin. Awesome. Yeah, I gotta do something fun. Okay, I kind of forgot to touch up the bushes here, so let's go ahead and add a little bit darker area to that. It is definitely worthy of celebration. I agree, Barbara. A Zoom party. Yeah, Vivian, we're gonna have to do something fun. That was great to get to see you guys all at the Zoom party last time. Okay, so let's take a look at what we can do to make these leaves look more fun. We can add a little bit of shadows here and there. bit of a stem in there. All right. Then let's see, we can kind of start getting down into the trunk. Actually, I'm going to move over and complete the rest of that platform really quick. We'll just scoot you on over. Okay. So we can get some nice shadows underneath the foliage here. Keep going with our horizontal board structure. And let's see. Well, too late now, but I was gonna have another little arm come up and grab a hold of the top, but I already went by there. So we'll put in some little brackets. Or I bet I could make it work. We'll have this one come up and try to grab. It's just that horizontal line there is kind of a bit of a pain. I'll try to make it go away. I did have to do fair bit of sanding in a couple places on my big commission. Try not to do that, but sometimes it happens. So we'll work on that one too. Alrighty, so let's see here. I think I want to push these boards a little bit darker. So it looks like, yeah, I'm not going to get this done in 9 minutes. So we will do a part 2 on this project next Friday. And we should be able to get this done in 2 sessions. So that'll be a lot of fun. And let's see, that'll give us, I'm not sure what day that is. Well, I know it's Friday, but the 17th. Okay, and then we'll have another week to sneak in maybe a more Halloween fall type project as well. And it looks like Halloween falls on a Friday this year, so I don't think I'll be able to do a live stream on Halloween because I got to take the kids out. But we'll find a workaround for that as well. And let's see, I will lightly shade this bracket here and maybe that one there. Just kind of push those back a little bit. We can even add a little shadow on the back side of each bracket just for fun, like that. So Lisa, there will not be a live stream this month for beginner live stream. We've got so much going on that we will push our beginner live streams for the Monday night live streams until November, and we'll try to fit 2 of those in so that we're not going crazy this month. Mina's out of town, and I have like so much going on right now as well that I think it would just be best if we take a break with that. We'll keep doing the Friday night live streams this month. Next Friday will be part 2 on this one. The following Friday, I think the 17th, we'll do some sort of a Halloween or fall based one, and then no live stream on Halloween, and we'll go from there. So Tracy, how far do we have to travel to trick or treat? Everything's about an hour away. 45 minutes to an hour is pretty much where we're at. So it's fun, but it's kind of a late night getting home, but it's still good. Alrighty, guys. Well, I think that this is a pretty good stopping point. We have the upper part kind of laid out. I just glancing, I see that, like, if you look at the difference between this branch over here that's just simple line work, and then these here with some extra lines and a touch of shadow, look at the difference between those in terms of just a touch of realism. So add that extra line, put a shadow underneath, and there you have a much better branch. So I'll have to do that and fix that, but we'll do that next week. So awesome. Appreciate it, guys. All right, well, I think we're done for tonight. This is a good place to stop, and we have just a couple minutes left. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out through Wood Burning University or email me. You can contact me through the contact forms on there as well. And I really appreciate everybody being here tonight. Thanks for all your support, for liking and subscribing and sharing and all that. I really appreciate it. It goes a long ways to grow our community and everything. So I really appreciate it. Alrighty, well, I will see you guys next Friday, same time, same place. All right, have a great night. Bye.